Me again. Sorry I'm constantly driving. Welcome to my life. So, I wanted to talk today about the equinox, since that's where we are. We're in the equinox. And then, a little bit of confusion about the calendars as well. So, first and foremost, the equinox. Equal day and night, all right? Officially this year in 2023, it was on St. Patty's Day, last Friday. The reason I know this is because if you look at the time of the sunrise and the sunset, they are right at 12 hours. So Friday, we had 11 hours and 58 minutes of sun and 12 hours and 2 minutes of moon, right? In that day cycle. That is the closest, somewhere in between Thursday and Friday, we had the equinox. So that is the equinox. That's the official mark of the equinox. And it happens right around the Aries new moon. Okay? We know that on the solar calendar, you're going to have the first and last day of the month are going to be on different days all the time, depending on, how many days are in the month or whatever. But the solar calendar is really just to mark the equinoxes and the solstices. Okay, solstice is essentially the lowest or highest point of the sun in our atmosphere of the year. So as we make our orbit around the sun, it's like an oval, not so much a circle. So in that oval, in the winter solstice, the sun is at its furthest point from Earth. And then in the summer solstice, same, except that the hemispheres are swapped, right? So our winter solstice is the southern hemisphere's summer solstice, vice versa. So it doesn't really matter what season it is. It's about solstices and equinoxes, right? So the equinox is equal day and night and happens twice a year. That's it, twice a year. Solstice as well, right? The sun is either in its highest point or its lowest point, depending on your hemisphere that you live in, twice a year as well. And that's what those days are. And then in the pagan calendar, you have these crossover days that are halfway between every solstice and every equinox. And that's what in bulk is essentially Groundhog Day. They say Groundhog Day now, but it is literally between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. It's that midway point. So then in the pagan calendar, they also celebrate the mid-season cross-quarter days is what they're called. So, equinoxes and solstices are pretty much the solar calendar's purpose, right? The lunar calendar gives you 13 months because every month has 28 days, and it's just based on the moon, right? So the month starts on the new moon, and halfway through is the full moon, and then the next month starts on the next new moon, right? So today is the new moon in Aries, and in the age of the ram, the new moon in Aries marked the beginning of the year, right? Of the whole year. We are now in the age of Aquarius, because if you take your Mazzaroth, your zodiacal calendar, or your, wheel of the zodiac, where it gives you, the 12 pieces of the pie, and then it gives you all the zodiacal, constellations around it, and it splits them off, right? Each quarter has 3 months in it, or 3 zodiac signs in it. So the first house of the zodiac is the house of self, Veda. It starts in Aries. So essentially, that's why we set that as the first of the year, because it's the first house, right? So then the second house, the house of wealth, Lucrum, is in Taurus, and then the third house is in Gemini, and then fourth is in, Cancer, and you go on and on around the circle, right? So the houses mean something separate than the zodiac signs. And the zodiac signs are even relevant because that's the angle the sun shines onto the earth through during that time period. That's just where, like, in between us and the sun right now is the constellation of Aries. That's why we're in the month of Aries. For no other reason. Except for in this very current moment, the moon is also in the constellation of Aries. 2 days from now, it'll move, and it'll be in the constellation of Taurus. But right now, we are in alignment. The Earth, the moon, and the sun are all in alignment with Aries. And that's what starts the new season of Aries, right? And Aries is strategic. Aries is about strategy. So, not so much war, but action, definitely action, and the strategy part of action, right? And then Taurus, as we move into Taurus, Taurus is about hard work, like slow growth through hard work. So this month we are planning, next month we are working. And that reflects also on the, harvest, agricultural season as well. No matter where you are, really. So the Christians, bless their hearts, and let me make this very, very obvious. I am not bad-mouthing Christians of today, okay? Anytime I'm bad-mouthing Christians, it's the Christians of the beginning of this Julian calendar. So anywhere between 3rd century BC and now, Christianity has royally destroyed its roots, but still carried with it the traditions of its pagan roots. So if you go all the way back to the Sumerian, and Sumerian is like a broad term, because Sumer wasn't just like one culture, it was a collection of cultures, a melting pot, much like America is today. There was Akkadian, and there was Babylonian, and there was, the Fertile Crescent, right? The lands between the Tigris and the Euphrates River. That was Mesopotamia, which became Sumer, and which then split off into like what is now, Iraq and Afghanistan, Turkey, all that shit. So that place and that time, that moment in time, they established all of the concepts that still today exist in Christian religious mythologies. It is so far removed from where it once began, like so far removed. But still their traditions are kept. So in the beginning, the first words in the Bible, in the beginning, in the Sumerian is referred to as Apsu, right? Apsu was first a person, or not so much a person, but like a entity, and then it was a place. So Apsu in the Sumerian literally translates to the beginning. The Bible, instead of recognizing Apsu as a god or goddess like the Sumerians did, they just, put it in there as a prepositional phrase in the beginning. But that's what they mean. They mean Apsu. So enter Apsu. But before Apsu, there was, the sleeping consciousness, the deep, the abyss, whatever you want to call it. And the sleeping consciousness had begun to express activity, and activity is like the dream. The sleeping consciousness started dreaming, and from that dream came the sky and space in general, which was called On, and then formation in general, or the earth, or whatever you want to call it, which is called Ki. So in Sumerian, On means space and Ki means form. So from the sleeping consciousness that, we would consider God, became, from that dream, developed space and form, right? That is On and Ki. So Anki, as it melded together over time to become one idea, became the god of the Sumerians, Anki. And then that god gave birth to, or formed, or translated into the lower dimensions as Enki and Lil. And Lil means water, En means Lord of, so Lord of the waters, and then Ki means earth or form, and En means Lord of. So you go from space and form to the heavens and the earth, right? Or, essentially just formation of the heavens and the earth, whatever you want to call it. So the Bible sort of like summarizes the Sumerian creation epic or whatever, but it doesn't get into the biblical God until you start having post-solar system origins. So, the Apsu is before the biblical God, right? And then, Enlil and Enki together are essentially the biblical God. But interactions with the biblical God don't happen until much later, when what people call the Anunnaki, or the children of An and Ki, the sky and the earth, or space and matter, the children of space and form, which would be considered the Anunnaki, which is essentially us, right? It's children of space and form, whatever. So the biblical God is something understood as space and form, or expressed anyway. What people understand it now is very far removed from what it was. But anyway, I said all that to say that the holidays, the traditions that the Christians keep now, are originally based around these solar and lunar calendar events, solstices, equinoxes, and such, and the cross-border days. And then, they have no idea, no offense, like, they have no idea, but it's not what they think it is, in the Sumerian written record of the Sumerian origins and such, and then the Babylonian cuneiform tablets, which cuneiform is much newer of a form of system of writing, as far as that type of ancient history goes. But the fact that it's written in cuneiform at all tells you there's Assyrian influence, so it was after Assyria, whatever. Anyway, the tablets express sort of a change in what they call their gods. So, like in the Enuma Elish, it starts out as naming the gods, and then eventually, as Marduk, or man or whatever, takes over, it changes and it just starts calling Marduk the Lord instead of his name, instead of all of the gods that came before him, all of the creative entities of space and formation and whatever, hydrogen, oxygen, all the stuff that they had names for before. Now it's just the Lord. From the entrance of Marduk, it is just the Lord from now on, which is where the Bible picked up. So the Bible never gives you the name of God, of the God of the Bible. It never gives you the name. So it just goes the Lord, the Lord God. And then at one point they say Ahaya Asher Ahaya, which means I am that which is, or I am that which will be, which is still not a name. But anyway, the Christian holidays, they came from Babylon. Sorry for your luck. As much as the Bible loathes Babylon, they took all of their holy days from it. They took all of their worship rituals and traditions from it, and even their God, because more than the Sumerian. And at the end of the day, all religions worship the same God. They just don't know it. They break it up into aspects and call the different aspects of God the different names, but at the end of the day, they're all worshiping the same God. So, anyway, it is the traditions that give us our holidays. And the traditional holidays, whether they are based on the lunar or solar calendar, are all pagan in origin, sorry for your luck, but also made to commemorate these seasons of the zodiac, of the moon, of the sun, and to remind us where we are in our cycle. Right now we're in the house of self, right? We're in the new moon Aries. New moon is about beginnings and about making plans, right? Strategizing. So new moon Aries hits in the northern hemisphere, and now I need to plan my garden, right? It is planting season coming up, baby, and I need to plan for that. Spring cleaning is also a really big thing in America anyway around this time, because you need to make room for the more, right? You want more. You have more sunlight. You have more time to get things done, and you want more out of that. You need to make room for it. And it's a really good idea, right? Make room for more. And you tell the universe you're prepared and you're ready and you have space. Absolutely. If you want a family, driving a motorcycle is not telling the universe that you're prepared to carry car seats, If you want a partner, a twin bed is not exactly telling the universe you're ready for a partner. You need at least a queen, right? Just saying. Today is the time for planning and strategizing and just being super grateful that you made it through an entire cycle back to the first house. Look at us go. Like, all of the changes and improvements and lessons that have come full circle now are going to bless you immensely. And then, next month is going to be hard work again. So, good luck with that. Anyway, yes. So, I was asked to explain the equinoxes and the solstices on a day like today. I feel like it's a good time to do that, so you're welcome. And thank you. And let me know if you have any questions. Okay, bye.